Good morning. Good Sunday morning. Welcome back to Bullfrog Creatives and the NFR Hangover, which I think all of us are feeling it this morning in one way or another. I was complaining about it being 8 o'clock where I am, and then I realized that we have someone on that's 7 o'clock where they are. So I can't complain about that any longer. So for y'all that are just joining us today for the first time, my name is Heidi Foy. I am the creator of opportunities at Bullfrog Creatives. And we kind of have a collective of sorts today from all sorts of places. And I'm not going to lie, I don't even know where everybody is from. I only know where some of us are from. So this morning we have Jim Boy Hash with us, Tony Branquinho, and Todd Butcher. So Todd, this is the first time that you and I will be meeting. Oh, and looks like we just dropped Todd. So he'll be joining us shortly. The year of technical difficulties for sure. So before we jump into the hash and cussing and discussing of what happened in round 3 of the NFR, let's give a shout out to a few people. So obviously we threw this together real quickly. A good sponsor of the Bullfrog Creatives platform is Cinch Jeans. So I want to give them a shout out, Garden City Community College. And I'll let Jim Boy talk about our third sponsor because he's real good at that one. We got to get some sound. We got to get some sound for that because that really, I feel like would really seal the deal for us. Oh, nothing like 30 or 40 goats in the background.
Yeah, double raft rodeo livestock, championship tying goats, and was supposed to be bucking horses, but last night that didn't look very good.
We'll just stick with the goats.
yeah. Screw the bucking horses today.
I mean, I've seen some pretty rank goats, so let's just stay with that. So, listen, I actually wrote notes because I didn't want y'all to school me today. So first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about, and I posted something on Facebook about this. The openings have a much more story feel than they have in the past. I think the feel in Vegas was lots of lights and smoke, and it served a purpose. And I've always been a really big fan of the openings that we do at the CNFR. I don't know, maybe it was because I did them for so long. But even before that, they were really good. It told a story either of the community or the organization. And I really hope that they keep with this feel and keeping that storyline in the openings. I think a lot of people, for a lot of people, that's when you hurry up and get to your seat. You don't really get to your seat in order to watch that, but I feel like it's an added benefit in this regard. What do you guys think about that?
Man, last night was the first night I've got to actually sit down and watch it, getting home from work, being out here in California because of the time. And first off, I want to say RFD TV, the Cowboy Channel Plus, it's been amazing to broadcast. I told my wife 10, 15 years ago, I was like, man, if they would do a live stream, I'd pay $200 to hear Tallman to be in the arena and see it. And what they're doing is amazing. But getting to watch that opening last night, honoring the Texas Rangers, and I've gone back and watched the other ones, but watching it live, I mean, that's what I put on Facebook with my spoiler alert was, God bless the Texas Rangers. America needs more of that right now, and law enforcement. And it does give you that feel of what the Western culture and lifestyle is about and what helped found this country and what we need right now, some positive. And that was amazing last night, what they're doing. And I hope they keep that theme going forward for the week. And when they go back to Vegas is, projected for next year, I really hope they keep that grounded, the solidarity of what the Western industry means. But last night was outstanding and amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing that I've noticed, whoa, we got some feedback here. The other thing that I noticed was they have so many things at their fingertips in that size of a stadium. I mean, the lights and the sponsorships, being able to see that on the arena floor, that's awesome. And we were watching and I was like, is that something that TV production is throwing in, or is that the lights on the ground? Like, you couldn't really tell, it was so clear, but it's really starting to show. And again, back to the Cowboy Channel and RFD TV, it seems like they're adding more pieces every night to make it better. I really like the scores.
Yes.
I wish they would keep them up just a little bit longer so we can compare, like, whoa, what's Judge Ford doing? He's consistently a skosh different, and we'll talk to Todd about that, but like there seem to be some consistencies in their differences, but I liked being able to see that.
It's been amazing, and like I say, I think each day the production they're kind of working out their bugs as they go along too, and it's just been every night's gotten better and really great. And I got a text last night from a buddy of mine. Hey, did Luke get fired? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm not watching the one Luke's on. I said, I'm watching the one where I can hear Tallman and the announcers and what's going on, like being there, like, you know, you're at the casino in Vegas. He goes, oh, so am I. I forgot I was watching the wrong channel. But that was his question, is if Luke, you know, why wasn't Luke on? I'm like, well, he's not on that live feed. So like I say, I'm so impressed.
That's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that they were different on the different platforms that you watched, because we watched it different last night than we have through the other two performances.
Yeah. So like I say, because our satellite provider doesn't carry the Cowboy Channel or RFD-TV. So we got a Fire Stick. We got the Cowboy Channel Plus app for, you know, it was $80 for the year, but that was amazing because you can watch, they have all kinds of rodeo content, everything. And then for, you know, the PRCA, it was $70 for 10 nights, and you can watch it. You can watch it live, the feed they're showing on the Cowboy Channel with Butch and Jeff and Joe and Luke and everybody. Or you can do the arena feed, which has been, like I say, great. You hear Tallman, you hear Andy. I mean, it's like you're there without having to fight the crowd, which there's not much one right now. And then they have a Portuguese broadcast live and a Spanish one. And so it's amazing what they're doing and how they're setting it up. And they've done an outstanding job bringing it to everybody. And I really hope a lot of people are taking advantage of it, because this, to me, is the best they've ever been able to broadcast the NFR for the masses.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have to try watching it in some of the other formats, because we've just been watching it on the, I think last night was on DirecTV and the other two was just Dish.
So it's just the regular broadcast, and they're doing an outstanding job. And Jeff Metters has done, you know, amazing things of getting us to this point where we're able to watch rodeo on television. You know, he's been a huge part, you know, so it's impressive what they've done this year with the Cowboy Channel and RFD.
So I'm wondering if Jim Boy is going to get his camera to work.
I gave up. It's kind of a smile on there right now, and you don't see me smile very often, so I'll just leave it on that. I'll be at the office tomorrow, so I might get to work tomorrow. But I'm interested. That's interesting. I didn't realize on the app that's what you're seeing. But is the Cowboy Channel and RFD, are they the same? Do y'all know?
Yeah, the regular ones, you know, the ones you get on just on your satellite provider, if it's not through the app, yeah, it's just the regular broadcast like we've seen for the, you know, past 20 years, you know, with like I say, Jeff Metters, Butch Knowles, Joe Beaver, you know, everybody, Luke. It's a regular broadcast. Donnie Gay, you know, they're doing a great job with it as usual. And I've watched the replays of those, you know, throughout the day, because that's the best thing on television for the last 3 days, and the next 7 is the rodeo and the replays of it. But I tell you what, the live feed is cool, because it's like, you know, they do at the NFR with the hotels, you know, and you could have a watch party. If you could have more than 8 people in your house in California, I'd have 20 people over, and we sit around and watch it. But it's really neat to, you know, hear Tallman, hear Andy. And I've seen a few people say on Facebook, well, there's no butts in the seats. Well, they're limited to what they can have in there. And they've got to realize Globe Life Field holds what, 40, 50,000 compared to the Thomas Mack that holds 17, 18. So
so that's what we talked about that yesterday. They were saying there's about 16 to 18,000 people there. It's just so huge, you can't even tell.
It's just a big expansive space where, I mean, you can't, and they've got to be, I think I read where that you could, when you bought tickets, you had to buy a block of 4, and then they've got, I think, 8 or 12 around you blocked off where nobody can sit. And it's so it gives that illusion that there's nobody there, because it's so big, and you were socially distanced at this point. So
yeah.
So Todd, are you down there, or are you at home?
Oh, hold on, Todd, you're muted.
There. Nope. I'm at home here.
I didn't know if maybe you were working one of the other events or something?
Nope, I was down there for the women's championship, and then I'm home now.
Well, I was told yesterday, Emily Miller's dad, Tom, we talk quite regular, and I thought about trying to get Emily on here, and then I thought I might get Tom on here because Tom has a very interesting perspective on a lot of things. But he was kind of telling me how the seats are. My question yesterday was, if you're way up above, what keeps you from moving down? And he says really nothing. Maybe the lower level they might check you, but he says really they're. And he said a buddy of his coming, and he said so. What they've done is the seats, they have a pretty good zip tie, the more expensive zip tie, the heavy duty one. And he says they have them seats kind of zip tied where you're not supposed to be able to fold them down. Because really you can kind of just slide the deal over and sit down. And he said a buddy come and just slid the zip tie into a different position and was able to sit down. But he is interested. He wants to try to, how you can take the knife and kind of open the zip tie up. He wants to try to bring some of them home with him. He said there's a lot of good zip ties around there you can use at home.
Recycle.
They sell those too, Jim Boy.
Hey, another thing too, I had somebody called me yesterday that is in the know and told me I was confused on the payoff deal, the way the payoff is, because I was like, man, that kind of stinks. But what the deal is if they can keep the butts in the seats, they will get that $26,000 payoff, not just the 15. As long as they don't get shut down by the health patrol or whatever, if they can keep the butts in the seats, the payoff will be the same as the quote unquote points, I guess.
So
yeah,
that's a little incentive. That explains why they're so quick to put those masks back on.
yes, that's what I'd heard too. Is so they went to the point system to make sure guys that came in 15th or towards the bottom had a shot to catch the guys in the lead. But when I talked to my brother yesterday, because I said, hey, they're saying they're paying $26,000. He goes, yeah, as long as they don't get shut down, he keeps fans in the seats, they will pay out the $26,000 for the go rounds and the 64, 65 for the average. So, and I think that's why they were so quick. I don't know all the inside on Donna K. Rule or Caleb Schmidt, but what I did hear is they gave them multiple tests. They're positive on multiple tests is why they had to have them not be there. And I mean, it's crazy, but it's 2020 for you. It's just 2020 for you.
Yeah, for sure. So Jim, you want to start us off with the bareback riding? What's your take?
Last night was the eliminators, and hey, a horse was out that I'd raised, a pretty woman, and I was
14 of them were eliminators.
Do what?
Yeah.
14 of them were eliminators.
Thanks, Mr. Official. But I was nervous all day. I was like, man, I threw the champ. I'd been wanting to see that matchup, and that just goes to show you what a stock contractor can go through. Not that I claim to be a stock contractor, but I mean, them guys, they have as much pride in them animals as them barrel racers have in their horses, and you can imagine. A barrel racer who is in the 7th and 8th round and they ain't want to check yet. That's what some stock contractors might feel like at times. So, but anyhow, it was good watching. I mean, you're not going to find horses like that every day. And them guys went at them is really good watching. And the judges, I think they got it pretty right last night. I think they struggled the first night, but I think that was some good watching.
Well, I tell you what, on the judging part of it, when like those first two nights, you may not should have had me on here because I will tell you exactly what I think and probably piss off the whole judging community. But the first 2 nights, it's tough because all those horses are the same. I mean, there's not much difference in them except for when runs off, and they should have got a reride. But if you're looking at horse-wise on those first 2 nights, they're pretty equal. Last night, it's hard to get it wrong because every single one of them bucked, and then you just basically, okay, that's 22, 23 point horse. You're splitting hairs. Let's look at the rides and see how different the rides are. And that's kind of how last night worked. It's pretty easy to get it right on when those horses buck like that.
What one of the things I, these days, used to, I mean, and I know you Todd had come up with a different judging perspective of marking, a few years ago. It didn't gain much merit by many people.
I'm still working on it.
But one thing I know, and I've been to clinics, but they're taught to, in my opinion, what I think I remember hearing is if you spur over the neck or you miss something, then you got to really be deducted, man. That's a chance to deduct them. But I mean, if they're making a hell of a ride, I mean, you take like Chad Rutherford that first night, and if there is a bobble, and whether there was a bobble there, not a lot of people had seen it, but the crowd loves it. That's the thing, and that's what I seen a comment in that Bareback Riders Only forum on Facebook. The crowd, their judging is going to be way different. And granted, you can't mark a horse that doesn't kick, but I almost think, these days, maybe it does need to, maybe not quite such a deduction for.
Well, let's go back to that very first ride of the NFR, and I'm sitting there watching it. It's supposed to be kind of like the old campaigners that first night for those guys to get their feet wet. And the first guy out, I'm thinking, holy moly, those guys have changed it up. Maybe they put the rank pin out that first night. That horse was outstanding. And I'm thinking to myself, well, there's your round winner right there. They need to jump all over that because if you're going to see a 90+ point ride, that was it. And when you talk about spurring over the neck, that wasn't his fault. That horse swooped and that foot went over the neck, and he did everything he right back to the neck. I mean, it didn't affect him any. Now at the NFR, you cannot use half points. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to be 46 and a half, but okay, he did spur over the neck, take that half point away, but they should have jumped all over that. And I think they missed it. And I'm sure they heard about it that night in the locker room. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But my opinion is they missed that one, and my 2 winners that first night was Chad winning it, Tim O'Connell was second, and everybody else was after that. I mean, it was pretty easy for me to call it that way. But I guess that's why I'm not there, because Chad won 6th and Tim didn't place that night.
Yeah. Another thing, go ahead, Tony.
I'll say I was driving home, listening to it on the radio, and listening to Butch and Jeff, and Butch is just, I mean, first ride out, he's saying it should be in the 90. And when the scores came in, and I've never really heard a commentator, especially Butch, in all the years watching him, he goes, I'm not a judge, but I mean, he was pretty much scolding them on TV and on the radio. And then I did get to see Tim's ride. I'm thinking, well, there's your same deal. I didn't see the first ride, but I heard him. Tim should have won the round. And when they announced his score, the look on his face walking out of there was like, what did they see versus what he felt? So
yeah, I really think they surprising that first night. Yeah, they missed it, but like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and it's different when it's on the floor, when you're there, but it ain't that different. I mean, they should not have ever missed that.
You have the old adage that the first one out, they're not going to mark them, but like you say, at that level, you're there. I mean, you can't just say, well, we hate to, no, that's, I mean, and they say create a spread, and that was a chance to have a spread.
Well, I tell you what, at the NFR, and that's where I kind of differ myself from other officials, because I was at a rodeo at Corpus Christi, Texas, about 5-6 years ago, and there's a kid out in the bronc ride that has not. I mean, I didn't know who he was, but he had Frontier, one of his best broncs, and this kid, I have seen the kid probably 3 or 4 times since then. I don't know where he went, but it was outstanding, and I jumped all over it. And luckily, the guys that were with me, we all 3 of us jumped all over it. The kid won it. He was the very first guy out at Corpus Christi, and I was like, well, that's how it's supposed to be. If the kid's supposed to win, I don't care if he's a world champion or a permit holder. If he's supposed to win, you need to let him win. I mean, that's just the way it's supposed to be. Ain't no different than that night. I don't care if he's the first guy out. You're at the NFR. That's the best horse out that night. And he rode the shit out of him. He was supposed to win. And that whole what you said, Jim Boy, well, first guy out. And I think commentaries even say, well, it's tough to be the first guy. It should not be. If he's supposed to be 90, by God, make him 90.
Well, it's like you said, Todd, they're the best of the best. It's the NFR. All 15 of those guys are the best that year in the world. I mean, one's coming in first, one's coming in 15th, but when they step across, put their hand in that rig and nod their head, it should be a fair shake. Doesn't matter if they're first out in round 1 or last out in round 10. The best ride should win, for sure.
Absolutely. And I wish I have a kind of a different system that I could get some people. I wish I could.
Todd's kind of cutting out. I think the PRCA heard him talking.
The PRCA's tech guys just shut him down, froze him, said, nope.
Turn it off.
People to realize.
Todd, you cut out. The PRCA's tech guys heard you was fixing to say something, so we didn't catch any of that.
I bet they did turn me off, but it's a simple system. If they would just look at it, if I could get it in front of, the right people, that it makes judging easier, because it's a simpler way to do it. You're still looking at the same criteria, but it's just a simpler way to do it. And I can't get nobody to listen, but I'm still trying.
Well, keep trying, buddy. The steer wrestling is the next event, and
well, that was good last night.
Do what?
Yeah,
that was good.
Well, I want to get Tony's take on this, because he's probably the most talented Branquinho steer wrestler. Casey Branquinho might be a close second, and then there's another dude, I can't remember his name.
I remember his name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he. You know what? I think he found 5 gold buckles in a Cracker Jack box. That third guy,
What do you think about the Case honey steers? That's that set of steers, and I'm not saying we've had him, but I love the fact that in Kansas, the majority of our high school rodeos, that's what our kids get a bulldog is Jace honey steers.
Man, I tell you what, the pen of steers last night. I mean, there was a couple in there, that tried a little more and had a few tricks, but overall, I thought they were great. And I mean, I made the call on my Facebook, spoiler alert yesterday, that Will Loomis is going to win the round. I just had a feeling they're not going to keep that big boy down for the whole NFR. And you come out, Bridger Anderson was 3-6. I forget who else was 3-6. And I mean, I'm pulling for Curtis Cassidy. He's on my fantasy team, and we're 3-9. We don't get a check last night, or I think. But Will bats in there, and we're sitting there watching. I told my wife he's going to win the round. I mean, he blasts the barrier and the steer just kicks, hammers, and the steers look good last night as a whole. I thought. I mean, handled quick. They got them conditioned right. And they're letting these guys really show off if they go through the proper steps. Catch their head, do everything right. Now, if they stub their toe, they try to rush it. Go to the nose a little early. don't do all the steps, these steers get the better of them, and it becomes a wrestling match like they're saying on television. But I think, Jace Honey, I mean, we had him there at the college finals when I was coaching it, and I mean, they always brought stock that fit the situation, and it looks like they've done it again, especially last night. It was a great round of the steer wrestling. I tell you what, I love the arena. I love the setup. I love everything being a little longer. Watching these guys, in all the events, having to use their horse a little more, having to score a little more. And you saw it last night in the cup, all three of the timed events. People taking the Thomas and Mack start. They were going as their chin hit. They were going barrier. And you've got to see something. You got to see the move. But last night in the steer wrestling, it was good watching. I mean, Bridger Anderson, he's placed in back-to-back rounds. Wins a first and then a second last night. Will Strikes last night. Last night, I think Matt Reeves. I think he finally placed. Kind of got out of the starting gates after 2 nights of not placing. So but he saw that world title lead get cut into in the first 2 nights. Wade cut into that lead in the first 2 nights, but then Wade snaps the barrier last night, and everybody. I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, oh, you got to go 26,000 a night, which I agree. But that 65
You got to be smart about it.
You've got to be smart. That 65 at the end is going to play a huge role in the world title. And well, they can win, 260,000 in 10 nights. Well, nobody's winning all 10 rounds, and you still got to run at it. But you've got to know. And who am I to say? I've never run one in there. Yes, Luke's run 150 in there in 15-time qualifications, so he knows better than I do. And it's hard to say, maybe that steer Wags is supposed to start better, but I saw it in all 3 events, guys taking, it looked like the Thomas and Mack start when they have to see a little bit more. But Jim Boy,
yeah, it seemed like the barrier played a bigger role last night than it had
in the first 2 rounds.
Yes.
And I tell you what, there's 3 sets of steers this year, and that was the first time that set went. How fast are they going to be the next time those steers go out? Because now everybody knows the start. It's going to get quick.
They know the start. They know that herd of steers, and that herd of steers out of the 3 seemed to be the ones that took it the best. I mean, they won the kick. They had a little more action. They weren't quite as stout, I guess. I mean, they were big steers, but when those guys hit the nose, those steers kicked last night.
And I don't know if y'all know this, but that steer that Will had last night, he had him at the Ram finals in Greeley. Broke the barrier to win it.
Broke the barrier.
I heard him say that in his interview, and he goes, "I wanted another shot at him." So
he got it.
They sure got the best of him.
Tony, did you find out what the black armband is? The steer
that I did not find that out, Jim Boy, but I found enough. It was some gentleman's wife had passed away, but I couldn't hear Luke well enough on the phone. He was in the middle of somewhere, it was crowded, but all I heard is there was a gentleman. I don't know if it's a hazer or somebody that has a horse there, who it was, but his wife had passed away. It was to honor her. So, but I did find out your other question on the ground, and Luke told me it was the ground from the American is what they were told. It is the same ground as what they had at the American.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was sitting there thinking last night, I'm like, that looks like that, and it almost looks like it came from Oklahoma, but I was like, I would almost bet that's the same dirt that they use over in the American.
Yeah, that's what Luke, that's my inside source on what's going on in Texas, and when I can get him on the phone.
We've got quite a few comments and stuff on the Facebook feed. I'm trying to watch both of them here. So Stacy Martin said it's probably for Tanya Carney, Tom Carney's wife.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
that's who.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Okay, I heard Tom, but I couldn't get the last name last night. So it was for Tom Carney's wife. Yeah.
So there's a few other things.
For those that don't know, Tom Carney's a guy from Louisiana who's almost revolutionized steer wrestling. He has a deal called Bulldogging 101 where guys can go on YouTube, I think it's YouTube, and get some steer wrestling instruction, some real good instructional videos on there. And there's been different, techniques of steer wrestling through the years. And there's a technique that I never need to worry about trying, but I did here a year or two ago try. Laugh all you want, but I did try, and it worked. I mean, it's even for me, as big and fat and slow as I am. I threw a few on the ground like that one day, really trying to focus on some of the things, and I was like, man, I see it. The whole deal that wrote Myers was when they was preaching, hit on your ass. I was like, golly, hit on your ass and come up. No way. I mean, I had hell enough time to stand off my ass as it was. And then a friend of mine told me, Jim, what do you think about it? You're on your ass anyhow. You just come up anyhow. But anyhow, no, that's pretty cool then. My main concern about we need to find some better safety pins for Bridger. His back number comes off every night.
Every time.
He goes to the buckle ceremony and he has his back number tucked in his belt like a college rodeo kid at a college rodeo. They tuck their vest in, and it's always been my biggest pet peeve when the college kids tuck their vest in their belt.
Like a barrel racer losing her hat. God.
Hey, you know what? Maybe Roger Walters is going to find Bridger for wearing his NFR number in his belt.
Listen, sometimes it works.
Hey, you know what? It gets their attention. Hey,
So
another
we've
thing
got.
in steer wrestling
I was
that
just
I'd
gonna
like. Oh, go ahead.
So we'll come back to you. Tammy says, how much do you guys think it changes kind of the mental game when the contestants can see the runs right in front of them? I mean, before they were down the alley, they couldn't really see what was going on. Does it change the game a little bit?
Oh, I think for steer wrestling,
I believe it does.
But so like them calf
Yeah.
ropers, I think they might be further back, but
Team ropers, yeah, but like steer wrestlers, they were always standing around the box because they're riding about 4 horses or 5 horses. So I think the steer wrestlers are right there, The team ropers, I think somebody holds their horse, they watch 1 or 2, and then they'll go back to their horse. But I think it changes for sure because, you're right there. Somebody makes a run, instead of hearing about it, you're back in that alley or watching on TV, you can kind of feel the excitement build from that run.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my guess for sure.
Which I think it can, if you're not in the right mental game, it can get to you, but it can also feed you.
Yes, for sure. Like say if you're just kind of like say if you've had a tough first 3 rounds and then somebody, you just want to get a time on the board and hope to that wake yourself up, just try to get a time on the board, and then by the time you go right in and there's 5 runs under 5 flat, now it adds a little different dimension for you. But then again, if you've been on fire like this nigga Squeeze has all week and somebody's 4 flat, well, okay, I'm going to go try to be 3-5 right now and put a nail in this coffin and seal the deal. But one thing, like back to the steer wrestling with Bridger and everything, one thing I really think they need to do is make sure, especially for the steer wrestling, these are the big men of the rodeo. Make sure the victory lap horse has a bigger saddle, especially when Will Loomis gets to go in the victory lap. I mean, it looked like he was getting ready to
He
run
about fell off.
Derby. The Kentucky, his stirrups were about that big, and I died laughing. And then his interview, he said he was out of breath from trying to hang on before he did his interview with Katie on TV because he's just hoping he didn't fall off on his victory lap. But
I think Irwin's Appaloosa horse needs to remain the main victory lap horse.
That's polka dot.
I think for sure. Or I think for the steer wrestlers, and this is coming from a big guy, so it's a fat on fat prime, but they should have a Clydesdale down there for the steer wrestlers, for the victory lap.
Listen, sometimes that's the best part of the rodeo.
Oh, that is. Well, it's like that year when they did the the opening in the round 1 of the, the world leaders coming in, and was it Patrick Smith got bucked off or whatever, that was a highlight. I think he won the world that year, but that was a highlight of the finals.
Nobody remembered that he won, but they remembered that.
Nobody knows he got a gold buckle that year, but they know he bucked off in the first round, or beginning before the first round of the NFR.
When they split the win, they need to make them ride double like them bareback riders do. Now that'd be watching.
That's not fair to the horse. It's bulldoggers.
So Casey Rising has a comment here. So JD Hammaker, Summit Rodeo wins Remuda. I don't know if I'm saying any of these names right. Remuda of the year does not have a single horse at the NFR. What's up with that?
Yeah, man, I don't know about that. I think he's got a bull there, but Remuda is about horses, and I don't know how they come up with that. I mean, that's a question for a higher pay grade because that doesn't make no sense to me.
Well, so I talked to Jill earlier, and they had to combine last year numbers with this year because some people didn't meet the numbers. So would that have
Mhm.
anything to do with it?
I still think you got to
Number of
have some horses at the NFR, but I don't know.
Combine last year's numbers of what?
Well, like in order to qualify, like in Jill's case, for music director, you have to do so many performances and, have so many outings, I suppose. So is it similar for horses like that? Horses in buck and stock?
I think they didn't have the same requirements. The horses and bulls, they have to have so many outs before they're allowed to be considered. But I've seen some of the discussion on this topic, and Hammerkers, they got a lot of good horses, and they're the main contractor at the high school finals and whatnot. But I don't know, it does an interesting decision, and I almost and I put it on the deals and nobody corrected me, but I almost thought I remembered seeing something somewhere where that's voted on by, like, committees have some say in that. And I know there's a committee Remuda award, and I can't remember who that went to the other night, but anyhow, I don't know who the voting is. And that's, there's a lot of people that said, well, Colin Pickett has 17 head of bareback horses there.
Yes, he does.
And another one or two saddle broncs, and so, like, how does he not get it? So yeah, that's been an interesting discussion topic. That Summit Pro Rodeo, which owned by JD Hammaker, they don't have any horses there, but they got the Remuda of the Year award. So I don't know, but I kind of, one thing I was going to talk about in the barrack riding a while ago, and we can kind of segue into the bronc riding here as well. But the bareback horses, it's going to be interesting to see. Well, number one, if we even still have bareback riding 10 years from now at the NFR, but what kind of horses would be in the eliminator round. I think the bareback riders maybe made a statement by picking 17 picket horses. They don't want the arm jerkers anymore, and I can't say I blame them. But it's funny. I seen Danny Reagan. He had a comment on Facebook about because he's going to have to get some of that blood in his herd, because he had a pretty good number of horses at the NFR last year, but didn't get to take very many back this year, and he was bummed out about it. And I don't know. I mean, it's the bareback riding. You're going to have some really sweethearts to be able to get some bareback horses there, I think.
Yeah, those horses, it used to be there'd be you go to 5 rodeos and not ever see a horse marked over 22 points, and now you go to those same 5 rodeos and that contractor's got the horse breeding now is just unbelievable. You'll see some horses. I'm telling you what, the first time I saw that Killer Bee was in a bronc saddle, and I'm like, there is nobody ever going to ride her in a bronc saddle, ever. And they're struggling to ride her in a rigging. I would never run my hand in a rigging on her. There is no way. But you see more of them. But like you said, Jim Boy, those guys really don't want to go get on them, because you can try your guts out, and that horse, they're going to mark that horse 23, 24 points, and they're going to mark you 12,
Yeah.
But
just because you stayed on them, that's
just
all
because you stayed on them. I tell you what, that's another part of that, judging. That horse is 24 points just because you can't ride a horse that bucks like that perfect. It's impossible. Yeah. So you cannot kill that guy for his ride when it doesn't look very good, but he is doing all he can. You just can't kill him. There's a reason that his feet's coming down.
And he's frozen again. Everybody's frozen.
Flat. So they don't like me talking. They don't like me talking, do they?
No, they freeze you out as soon as you get rolling on something. They freeze you.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to say there's a reason that you got to mark those guys, because there's a reason that their foot hits the flats or their chin comes up, and if they go back to the neck and they get their chin back down, you got to reward them for effort, because those horses are rank.
Hey, that's it's a different day and age, and it might be time for them to really consider that. Did y'all see anything good in the bronc ride? I don't know. A lot of good bucking horses, a lot of good rides. It's gonna be interesting.
I'm gonna say
It's
a
gonna
ride.
be interesting, but like I say, you're yeah. I tell you what, Wyatt Casper, I mean, last two nights going, winning second back to back is, showing why he's been the world #1 leader all year. I mean, he had the outstanding winner, when the season started in the fall, winner up to the American. And, it's no fluke that he has that lead coming in. I think they're going to be hard pressed to catch him. I mean, I think the Wrights are going to split the money up too much themselves for one of them to get a chance to jump up and get him in the saddle bronc riding. But
and Wyatt has rode good a long time, and people don't realize, they think he just come on to the scene, but he has rode good a long, long time, and he deserves to do what he's doing.
Yes, sir, for sure. But I mean, like I say,
go ahead.
Oh, they just last two nights, what was he last night? I got it right here somewhere. He was 87.5, behind Alan Bohr's 90.5 on yesterday's delivery, but he's just not backing down. He's going to keep charging. He's going to keep going after him. And when he wins a gold buckle, it's going to be not because of the lead he had coming in. He's going to keep cracking at him every round of the finals. So,
and that horse he rode last night, he never been rode before. That horse is ranked, and he made him look pretty easy.
I was going to say, he probably could have been a little higher had he not made it look like he was quite as easy to ride, for sure.
I was going to say, I was worried about Wyatt. I was worried about his mindset, because when he had such a good American and was kicking butt, and then if you'll remember the last rodeo, where was that? Houston, when they shut down, when he hit so bad on his head and tweaked his neck or whatever, and so he didn't get, I don't know how many horses he was able to get on after that. And that's when we got shut down, and I'm sure he got on a few and probably did fine. But for anybody that's been through an injury like that, your mind can be your own worst enemy, and to come back from that and have success, I commend him, because that wasn't easy to overcome that injury.
Right.
What else? What other events we got? Was there anything else interesting?
I'm curious about everybody's talking about how good that ground was. It got pretty loose last night in that trail racing.
Yes, it did. What did Haley Kinzel's sister stumble twice going into the first, and I think the third, I can't remember, but it wasn't the only one. A couple horses stumbled. I mean, that ground broke away pretty bad there. They're in that second drag, or after that drag.
Yeah, after the drags, when it all kind of went to hell.
Yeah. I'm just happy, my pro fantasy team, Lisa Lockhart and Rosa, wins around 1709. But like I say, that ground changed last night, because Haley, they still project her to win the world, but it let Brittany win, I think, second last night, gained some of that ground she lost to Haley back, and it makes it more of a horse race, a dogfight now. Like I say, it's luck of the draw and everything. It's luck of when you're on the ground. But I was really impressed with the ground watching the first two nights. But last night, like I say, whatever they did, whatever adjustment they made, they need to go away from that, back to what they did the first two nights. Add water, take water away.
I can't see. Are they hand raking after each one?
I haven't. I haven't seen it because, you know, when you're watching TV, when it was at Thomas and Mack, you know, it was so small. As soon as the person would get out of the first barrel, they had somebody there raking. I don't know if they're hand raking this year or not for sure.
You probably have to have five guys on a barrel because you're going to kill them. It's so far out there.
Yeah, or have a relay team. You have to relay out there.
But I don't know what the answer is.
One thing I do like, I know it didn't work last night in the barrel race, but one thing I do like is them raking halfway through. And I know it's not conducive for the production, but I've always thought you've got the 15 best horses in the world that, you know, ran their heart out. And not just to make it fair, make the ground, you know, a little more even, but just a danger factor. You know, these horses, these ladies, these are their, you know, they got all this time, expenses. These are their livelihoods, these horses. And then to make them run 14th, 15th on the ground that's, you know, just deep in tracks. I've never thought that was a great way to show off our best in the world, and it's not fair for the equine athletes. And I think raking, at least, you know, after 8, I think it's safer for the animals too. And I'm glad to see they're doing it. I hope they can incorporate it when they go back to the Thomas and Mack. I don't know if they can because of the size of it, but it would be nice if they could, just for the horses and for these ladies.
I think they need to look into it. You know, you got 15 girls. Those horses are worth a lot of money.
Yes,
and I
sir.
tell you what, everybody's so worried about getting those people back to those casinos. Well, what happens if you break one of those high-powered horses' legs, or actually that girl gets hurt? You know, I don't have an issue with. There's 15 girls. After 5, you take that tractor around there one time.
Yeah,
and get out.
Fill it in. Just
fill
up the holes.
I mean, it does not take that long. I mean, it takes you 30 seconds to run that tractor around the arena.
I think they're using 2 tractors. They're not wrecking, just 2 tractors.
Right. Yeah. This year they're using the 2 tractors. Well, and that's to say it's, you know, I think in the big picture, like you say, Todd, it'd be to the benefit of the girls, the horses, and so it slows your production down by 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's going to be a lot of people say, well, them girls are invited. They ought to be just happy they're there. But
they're not invited.
NFR, huh?
They're not invited.
Well,
those girls, they earned that.
Yeah, but they're an invited event to be at that.
Right.
But they need to realize, and they realize, they know that adds a lot to the people that are there. It adds a lot to the people that are spending money at Cowboy Christmas. It adds a lot to their TV production. But you know, for people who think, well, they're just here to watch the Cowboys. No, they're not. I was I think it was at San Antonio one year, and I went way up in the top, just hanging out. I wanted to just go way up in the top, hang out. And there was a family of Spanish descent in front of me, and I think they all had a joint in their hat band and a beer in each hand, and they had more fun watching that barrel race. And them ladies were jumping up and down, throwing beer everywhere, and just having a good old time watching the barrel racing.
You just wait until that breakaway roping hits the big time. I mean, it's hard to hit the big time, but you wait until if they put that breakaway roping during the rest of the rodeo, holy moly.
Blow the roof off that place. And I was excited just because I've got 2 daughters. They breakaway rope. I love where breakaway roping is at now, where it's headed. But when they sit there having it the final, I think this will be great. Even if it was just 4 rounds, the last 4 rounds, what are 15 girls going to take? And then to find out it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, I got an 8th grader that wants to miss school for 4 days or 3 days because she wants to watch it. I might let her. But you put that in the perf, and that crowd is going to be electric and going to explode because it's long over.
You have that at the Thomas and Mack. That'd be the favorite event at the Thomas and Mack.
And you can get 15 girls in and out in about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
you know,
and I tell you what, I was just at the Texas a couple of weeks ago at the women's championships deal. I flagged over 600 breakaway ropers, and I tell you what, my everything hurt sitting on that horse for that long, but it was awesome watching, you know, and you got to be on top of your game. And about halfway through, I noticed myself, man, I need to step off this horse for a minute because these girls are roping so fast. I don't want to miss it, you know, because
Right.
you can miss flag pretty darn easy when I mean they're open, you know, 1-8, 1-9. I'm like, holy moly. It was good. It was good stuff.
I'll get on and watch with my daughter. We'll watch whatever streaming or, go watch YouTube videos. And it's amazing the talent that's out in the breakaway rope. And it's from 12 years old up to 50 years old. These women are on fire, and it's great to see that it's getting the due it's deserved. And it's just fun. Like I say, being a father of 2 daughters, it's great to see women's rodeo where it's being elevated to. And you can't thank enough the pioneers that got us to this point. It's amazing. And I'm looking forward to the day when it's in the Thomas and Mack or wherever the finals may be, when it's part of the regular performance. Cause I think it'll be outstanding.
It'll be good stuff.
What about the team roping last night? Dustin Squeeze and Travis Graves win round 2. They're projected to win the world. They're winning the world right now, respectively. They got the lead head and heeling, winning the average. And Squeeze comes and just fires one from the north 40 and snaps it on. Travis rears back on 2 feet. We're going to win back-to-back rounds, and kind of just like, there's no backing off. And there's 7 rounds left, but those guys are on a mission. Travis Graves has been doing it for a long time at a high level, and the only thing missing, I think, from his resume is a gold buckle.
Yeah, I think if Travis even went to Dustin and go, hey, let's back off a little bit, I don't think Dustin's got it in him.
Dustin had grabbed a rope 5 foot longer and said, okay.
Yeah, Dustin just tell him, you just worry about roping 2 feet, let me do this.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't back off at all, and I don't see him doing that at all, And
no,
I tell you what, a buddy of mine texted me last night. He was like, "You think Jake Long's on suicide watch yet?" I mean,
boy,
yeah, and
he'd be hard to be around the last couple of days.
Oh man, and then my pick going into the finals. So I watched that rope and Charlie Crawford put on, over Veterans Day, and watched the top 15 teams, watching head horse. I think a little longer score. My 2 picks were Chad Masters and Wesley for the average, just personal, and Clay Smith and Jake, just because Clay Smith's great horse is just the best in the game, by far in any setup. Chad is always riding something. Chad whistling off the first night, and then Jade misses the second night. My wife looks over me, good job, Mr. Timed Event Coach. But I tell you what, I like that 2 foot longer. I don't know when we go back to Thomas and Mack, it's going to go back to, the way the arena is set up, but I like watching the horsepower, what these steers can do. And I mean, we still had a 3.8 run. We've been in the sub for the 4-second runs all week, and we lengthened it 2 foot, and we've got that left opened up to where those headers can finish. And that's what I noticed about Dustin last night. Not only, did he send it from Texas back to Florida to hook him, but that horse is facing and getting back and getting to show off what they can do. And that's what I think is really impressive with it being in that big arena.
Yeah, being in that big arena makes horsemanship part of team roping again, and it's good watching.
Well, and Joe alluded to it on the broadcast. I think the first night he goes, "You got to have a little more horse here than you have in Thomas and Mack. Thomas and Mack, you need one that just doesn't have to be fast, but leaves flat, and let you just kind of gets out of your way. Here, you need one that'll let that steer take that step, fire off your hand, and stay up. And it's been good watching. I've enjoyed that for sure."
Absolutely.
So we're starting to get a lot of comments here. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We lost our.
I don't know. I was talking.
It wasn't just me.
So we're getting a lot of comments. The breakaway roping really stirred up a lot of comments. Obviously, there's a lot of people wanting to watch that. There was one here. There was an interview last night. They said the ground was too wet in the barrel racing. That's what was causing it. And then, let's see. Lots of comments. They could run the breakaway rope in the same time it would take to drag the arena.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's real interesting, I think. I don't know. There's lots of new stuff coming out for women. And just like you said, Tony, having young girls myself, it's inspiring to be able to see what options we have now.
Well, you know too, Heidi. After college rodeo, there really was not a lot for women if they wanted to break away. I mean, there were some amateur associations or some semi-pro associations you could team rope, but it's great to just see the growth of it. Besides barrel racing, you've got breakaway roping, the team roping. What did Hope Thompson and I can't remember her partner's name? What did they win? 90,000 during the PBR
90,000.
finals. And that is amazing, and it's just exciting to see where it's headed. And the breakaway ropings, I mean, they have the rope for the crown, and what's going on in the youth world with the junior NFR with the breakaway rope and the Mike Johnson's world's toughest, not just girls, but giving these opportunities to these kids, besides high school rodeo, they get a chance to compete more than once a month. And it's just amazing to see where the evolution of rodeo is at now and where it's going for women, for the youth. But the breakaway roping is just it's so exciting to see, and I can't wait to see it in the actual performance at the NFR one day. And I think it's going to be sooner than later for sure.
And I think after I said I flagged so many of them a couple weeks ago, and you see Jackie and Larry D, that those ladies made it all possible. But when I sat there and watched, that genre or that age group of ladies that started it all, and then to the younger girls that are coming up, they're two different styles, because it is so fast right now. Those younger girls right now, they don't know how to swing twice and throw it and not be fast. And when I sat in there watching that, those young girls would swing once. There's a girl from South Dakota, she'd swing once in the box and throw it. Well, Larry D don't have that shot. She didn't grow up having to do that. So those older ladies are having to change the way they rope to compete with the young girls, and it's good watching.
I say it's that evolution, and it's like anything. It's any of our events. The younger generation, they build off what that previous generation did and become faster. And you look at all our events, the evolution. I mean, team roping right now. I mean, before Speed Williams was the first one that would throw 3 coils every time, and now every one of those guys there, it's like Tiger Woods could drive it the longest in golf at first, and now everybody's got that shot in their bag. And the breakaway rope, and it's even our district high school rodeos, these girls are, and you preach it's an average, learn how to catch more than one. They're firing, they want to be 1-9 every time, and it's just the evolution of the sport. It's amazing and fun to watch.
Yes, it is.
Well, honestly, it opens the doors. I mean, I think having a barrel horse that can compete at that level and having 1 or 2 to keep you going is different than being able to swing a rope and go at the same level.
Right.
I mean,
it's like I've told both my daughters, I mean, through high school rodeo, and we do it all. We run barrels, tie goats, team rope, breakaway. We ribbon rope to junior high, all that. But I told them, I said, hey, if we get lightning in a bottle and we get a barrel horse off one of our rope horses or ranch horses, one of these colts, we'll have a barrel horse that you can compete on. I can help you make a rope horse. We can go find, and I can teach you to rope. I can't teach you to run barrels. I mean, I can tell you to make 3 turns, and I'll help you with your horsemanship. But good rope horses aren't cheap. We can make those a lot easier, in my opinion, than going and finding a barrel horse that's gonna even run in high school or college, or with the dream of making the NFR. You can go find those horses that want to be jam up breakaway horses right now. And my Casey, my middle brother, he trains rein cow horses, so he comes across those horses that don't quite make it as rein cow horses or cutting horses that you can find, and you can get them, and it's like he even said, it's a quicker turnover making good breakaway horses versus cow horses now, because you don't have to worry about working the rope. They break flat, come across there, and just park it. Now you don't have to worry about making them work the rope. That's going to be, it's an event that I think is going to be more inclusive for people. It's not going to be all about being able to going out there and spending the high dollar to go get a horse that's going to run in the top 15 or win a national title in high school or college, or even just compete in open barrel races.
Yeah.
Jim boy, I love the fact that it's froze with you smiling. That is awesome. When are you going to wear the little hat? My fondest memory of the college finals is our board meeting when you walked in from the golf game with a teeny tiny cowboy hat. And that was just the most fun conversation I think we ever had in a board meeting.
I think that's what Kelsey Scott was referring to yesterday when we was lining that meeting up. Roger's like, everybody be sure and get back here after that golf tournament. And we were running a little bit late getting there, and we had on our Crown Royal straw hats and smoking cigars. And I don't think Roger's real happy with us, but in rodeo, it's all about sponsor relations. And Laura from the Beacon, she was partly why we were so late. But Laura does a lot for the CNFR, so we're sponsor relations. That's critical.
It is very critical. But that was, we're sitting there and you walk in, and that was honestly the best board meeting I was in 4 years. That was awesome.
I don't know. You remember the kid in Vegas that one year that passed out?
Oh, well, that was good too. Just down at the end of the table, he just, you take college kids that are on the board to Vegas, and they don't look too spiffy by, day 3 of our meetings for sure.
Wasn't Tate Eck, was it?
See what, Todd?
It wasn't Tate Eck, was it?
No, Tate's hair was always gelled and in perfect position for every board meeting.
It was one of Dr. Al's kids and from his region, and he sent him packing that next day, I think. But,
yeah, we didn't see him anymore.
What about the bull riding? My bull rider is not doing very well.
Who's that? Which one?
Boudreaux.
Yeah,
and he was that was my pick in my pre-spoiler alert deal on Facebook, because he's coming off the World Finals and just, I figured he's going to come in here and he may not ride all 10, but he's going to give Sage a run and Kai. And he's going to be just on fire. And last night, everybody bucked off, but 2, that was a rank pin of bulls. But the first 2 rounds, I thought Boudreaux was going to tap off and get some money, get some momentum built. I was shocked, and my knowledge of bull riding is they stick their hand in the rope and hang on for 8 seconds. But I thought for sure he would be in the world title race, going into round 4.
And he still could be. Even last year, he started off slow and then ended up winning over $200,000 at the end of it. But when you look at the bulls he's drawn deep all 3 rounds. He's drawn probably the rankest one in every round. But
True.
He should ride. He'll get it figured out. But it surprises me that he's been thrown off all 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Heidi and I talked about it before we got started. Is Sage, after riding that first one, he just, I know these bulls are ranked, but man, last night his riding arm got stepped on. When he hit the ground, that bull came down and got the back of his arm, so he's going to be a little sore. But I know he's had adversity at the finals before, where he hasn't ridden very many, and he's rode 4 out of 10, but he's still placed. But that Kai Hamilton's not backing off. Stetson Wright's not backing off. And I think I can pull it up right now. I got it here. I think Sage has dropped down to 5th or 6th in the bull riding. I know we got a lot of rodeo left, and the draw is going to play a factor. But Sage has dropped down to 5th, and he's 24,000, 28,000 behind, which is a go around to Kai. But there's
I don't know what the judges were going to do last night if Stetson rode that one.
190 points.
He'd probably had to just walk over there and hand him the book. So you mark yourself, because I'm out.
Yeah, we don't know.
That was going to be good.
Yes, and he did start him too. He did start him.
Man.
But I think all around wise, I think it's going to be hard for Clay Smith to catch Stetson, especially being there in 2 events. I know he hasn't done much in the saddle bronc ride in the last 2 rounds, but that kid is that Stetson. It's fun watching him. And I got to know Rusty because when my older daughter went to college, they were, roommates and friends, and got to know him a little bit. But just the way that Wright family backs each other. On the chutes, every event, and the buckle ceremony the first night, Rusty wins around. He's got Stetson with him, and Stetson wins the bull ride, and Rusty's there, and just that right there is Western heritage our way of lifestyle, rodeo, unity. And it's great seeing, and that's what, personally, I think our country needs more of that. It's great to see it. It's great that it's being put out there by Cowboy Channel and RFD TV. The bond that those brothers have, and just the camaraderie with all the Cowboys. But watching the rights, it's amazing. And like I say, Stetson just put on a clinic the first 2 rounds of the bull riding, and it's been fun watching. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how Sage and, like say, Boudreaux rebounded, in round 4 through 10.
Yep.
So we've got a question about the all around now. Is there any way Tough can keep up with Stetson?
Tough. He took a no time last night, I think, for jerking one over or jerking one down last night too. So I think the average is gonna play a huge factor. And he hasn't, like I say, it's early. We're not even, we're 3 rounds in. A lot can change. There's still a lot of money up for grabs. So if he catches fire, yes, if he can go on a 2-3 round win streak or place in the top 3 in 4 or 5 rounds, get back in that average race, yes. But Stetson's going to place in the average on even if he only rides 6 bulls, he's going to place deep in the average. I think he's going to get money in the bronc ride and the go rounds. They're not going to keep him out of cashing in there. I think it's going to be hard. Clay Smith, same thing in the team roping. He and Jake could get on a hot streak and go 4 rounds, 5 rounds in a row. But at the same time, I don't see Stetson back. Knock on wood, the only thing that I think could derail Stetson would be something that keeps him out of competition for a few rounds. And that's just my personal opinion. And he's young. Yeah. He bounces back a lot better than older guys.
Yeah, it's tough to beat somebody when you're in one event and they're in 2, and they're going to probably win something in the average in both events.
Yeah. Well, and I know with the steer open finals being, a month ago, and when Tough took the lead of the all around, and I mean, even Trevor jumped ahead of Stetson, and everybody's like, oh, is Stetson going to? And not everybody. I had a few people comment, Stetson's behind. Are they going to catch him? Well, in my opinion, yeah, because Tough's second event's over. There's nothing he can do to go out. He doesn't know how fast he has to be if he has to lay it all on the line and in the 10th or 6th round to try to make up some ground because the steer rope is over. And so I think it's Stetson's, like I say, barring anything, major, he will claim his second gold buckle for the all around and he has a shot at the bull riding title too.
Yeah, the bull riding is going to get interesting towards the end of the week.
Yes, sir.
So we got a couple more comments. I mean, kind of going back, Tony, to speak into what you were talking about, the Wrangler TV ads with the rights, I think are showing that kind of Western culture that you were talking about and that family tie. Steve Burney just said that they were really good ads, and I think it speaks to what you were talking about.
Yeah, like I say, and I haven't, like I say, I've been watching Lifey, so I haven't watched any of the ads, but just watching just how they interact. I mean, that deal the first round in the bull riding when Stetson jumps off his bull and Rusty fake tosses a ball and Stetson knocks it out of the park, and just to see him behind the chutes and they're pulling each other's ropes and they're helping each other in the bronc riding. And the only time you don't see if there's 10 rides there, they're all helping whoever's up unless another one's got a ride in the next 2 or 3. And just that bond they have, and when one wins, it's like they all win. There's and like every family, I don't know, but you don't see any of that jealousy or that, boy, it should have been me. It looks like they're pulling for each other 110% every time, and that is just awesome to see. It's heartwarming. It's what we need right now in this country, is that unity and bond that family have, and that's one thing I can say that's helped my family and my daughter, my youngest one, everything get through is the Cowboy Channel, RFD TV, the Western lifestyle. Because one thing out here in California, we've been as restricted as any state, but we are still going to team ropings. We're still going out and riding. We have the opportunity to go to the ranch and ride and be outside. We had our fall high school rodeos, but the Western lifestyle is what has really helped us, my family personally, get through this whole 2020 debacle. And for other people, I think we can broaden out the audience of how important family and values are. It would be huge for this country. And I hope more people are able to watch, especially on East Coast time with the final starting, 2 hours earlier, watching it on a cable provider or getting the Cowboy Channel because they heard about it. Because I mean, right now this what the rights represent is what is right with this country. No pun intended, but. And
I
it's
agree.
great.
And then going back to what we started with, when Heidi says about the the introductions, and the start of the rodeo, I didn't get to watch last night because when me and my wife was on our anniversary, we went out to supper. But when we got back, it was on, and I'm like, well. And then they started talking about the Texas Rangers. I'm like, well, dadgum, we probably missed something pretty good. But I go back to the one I did watch when it was the military, and man, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what it's going to be tonight.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is I went back watching military 1, 2, and then watched the Texas Rangers last night. And like I said, I put on Facebook, God bless the Texas Rangers. America needs more of that right now, and God bless all our law enforcement, because that's our military is what protects us from enemies, foreign and domestic, but foreign especially, and our first responders are what keep us safe here, stateside. So, like I said, the production has been amazing. The intros have been amazing, and I hope the trend continues the rest of the week, and I hope it continues when they go back to Vegas with honoring.
Absolutely, agree.
So we've got a couple more questions. We're past the 1 hour mark now, but we've got a couple more questions about the calf roping. Shad Mayfield breaking the barrier, and then also can Marty Yates complete the chase down of Shad?
I think Marty can. It's going to be good. Shad's way out there, but I tell you what, there is no backup in Marty Yates. I promise you that. He's going to go with the go around every night, and Shad knows that. And Chad's going to go up to go around every night, and it's going to come down to is he going to miss another one? Is Marty going to keep going? I bet it's going to it'll be hard to catch him, but Marty's not going to give up, and it's going to get close by the end of the week, I do believe.
I think you're right for sure, Todd. What I saw last night though is you saw Marty kind of speed jam a couple times.
Yep.
Miss flank, misses hooey, misses string, but Shad breaking the barrier and being out of that average. And I think Marty, like I say, he's not gonna. There's no backup in him. He's gonna keep gunning for it. But at some point, he's gonna realize he's gonna need that average check too. I had it roughly figured if it was, going forward 65,000, Shad's not getting a check. That closes that gap a little more, but he's got to do more in the go rounds. I think it's going to be good watching. I really do. I think Shad's going to reset though. Take that deep breath. He missed the second calf. He broke the barrier last night. He's still going to go at him, but he just needs that reset for a minute. Okay, take a breath, go after him. Marty, like I say, Marty's coming. He was trying to win 10 rounds in a row, and he's not going to back up. But what I loved last night was Corey Solomon's 7 flat.
Oh boy,
that young man. I got to meet him when I was coaching, and he was at the college finals. And Jim Boy, you can correct me or you can verify or not, but I think 2 or 3 years, Corey Solomon should have won the college finals. That had some bad luck in one round. I mean, a calf would get up. I mean, he put 2 in a hooey. Just little things. Or I think 1 year he got completely outrun, but that he always rode out with a smile on his face. He was the most polite, gracious young man that every time I saw him back there at the college finals. And he said it best, Caleb should have been here. They don't live too far away. Caleb's family's been great to him. But he got the call, and he's there. He's making the best of his opportunity. And it was great to see him win the round last night because, there's no more deserving young man than Corey Solomon to be there. I mean, yes, he wound up 16th, and I feel bad for Caleb and Donna Kay, but those are the rules that were in place that they had to abide by. And it was great to see Corey come out, win the round, 7 flat last night, fastest run of the rodeo, arena record. I mean, every time somebody's faster in an event, arena record at that arena, and that's pretty fun. But I enjoyed watching it and his run last night. Like I say, kind of like Matt Reeves in the steer wrestling, Tough Cooper has not got off to a great start in the tie down roping, and it's. I know a lot of people were thinking this bigger arena was going to kind of play into his favor, and so far he just really hasn't got off go yet. And so we'll be interesting to see how this all plays out with him moving forward. But yeah, it's right now, in my opinion, is a 2-man race between Shad and Marty Yates, and you've got 2 guys that there's no backup in either of them, and it's going to be fun watching for 7 more nights.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got quite the discussion going on Facebook. I hesitate to even bring it up, but this is what they want to talk about. There were some questions. CJ Aragon said the Texas Rangers are catching heat there at Sol Ras for not wearing masks last night. And Steve Burney said, I wondered about that. Air Force recruits were wearing them the night before, but not the Rangers. So apparently there was a state order. They were supposed to be wearing masks. So that's all the conversation now. Which is
you don't want to know what I got to say. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Hey,
It's unbelievable.
I'm living in the People's Republic of California out here on the left coast, west coast. So it's mandatory. And I mean, I go out for a walk with my wife and we're supposed to have masks on. And I mean, I comply to go to businesses to help keep them open, in town, to keep restaurants open to when it is required so those businesses can stay in business. But last night, I think the Texas Rangers, they are in essence the best of the best. And I'm not saying that they're not afraid of it. I mean, this virus is real. We know it can be deadly, but at the same time, I think last night was a statement about the Texas Rangers and about those guys are probably all together as it is. They were around each other. They weren't around anybody else. Maybe, we didn't see behind the scenes when they walked off. They probably put masks on or wherever they went. That was to honor their, the Texas Rangers and the opening. And that, I mean, that's just my opinion on why they probably didn't have them on. But you take that and $12, you can get a small cup of coffee at Starbucks or somewhere, probably my opinion. So, and $12.
At least 12.
But,
I'll be sure to wear my mask on here tomorrow. I like wearing my dirty mask that I get off the dash of my pickup into places when I need to wear a mask. And then, I'm kind of famous for always having a toothpick in my mouth. And when I have to stick my toothpick through my mask.
I feel like that's a little dangerous.
yeah,
And your sunflower seeds. How you spit your sunflower seeds out?
My mask is kind of full. I have to open it up every time I fall out. Then they go down my shirt, get in my underwear. It gets terrible.
Oh, that's a bad mental image, but thank you. I got a great mask story. So this is about 2 months into this whole deal. So we're talking middle of May, and I got to run to the bank. And now I've got my cowboy hat on. All I've got is a bandana. So I put it on. I got my sunglasses on. I'm starting to walk in the bank, which you have to wear. The guy at the ATM starts dying laughing. I'm like, what? He goes, man, 2.5 months ago, they just shot you for walking in like that. Now you have to. And I walk up and talk to the teller, and she knows me with local bank. And she's just shaking her head. She's like, I'm like, yeah, you guys are going to get robbed. Somebody wearing a mask, joking with her. Honestly, 3 months later, they got robbed by somebody in a mask. And I mean, just because, they can't ID. They didn't get away with very much, but it's just crazy. But yeah, the guy at the ATM, I had no idea he was just laughing. Classic, bank robber movie. Got my cowboy hat on, got my mask on, and the only thing I was missing was a gun on my side. So.
Oh, man. Well, so we're pushing an hour and a half, boys. So I'm going to go ahead and give us a wrap up. Does anybody want to add anything? Any, guesstimates on how this evening's going to go? You guys want to call anything out?
Boudreaux's going to win the round. I doubt it, but I hope he does.
I'd like to see Clayton Bigelow win the round, Rusty Wright, Chad Masters. This is my pro fantasy team. I'm going down through all these. I think in the steer wrestling, I think Vegas Fact's going to come back. That barrier last night pissed him off. I think he's going to try to be real fast. Team roping, I think you're going to see Iga Squeeze and Graves, going at him again every night. But I think Clay Smith and Jade Cork will get the round win tonight because Jade missed one rope to leg, and they need to start winning some money. Tie down roping, I'm going to see Shad crack the ice and win the round tonight. Just kind of, I know I'm taking front runners, but that's just how I roll, my deals. And the rough stock, like I say, I'd like to say Bigelow because he's on my fantasy team, California, watch him grow up, but he looks like he's hurting after his round 2 buck off. Last night, that horse was ranked, but you could tell he's getting popped up, and he doesn't look like he can just lay back and spur into one. So I don't know what we're going to see out of him. I hope he's all right, but he looked sore last night. Bull riding, like I say, I don't know what anybody's drawing. I haven't got a chance to check it out, but like I say, it's the NFR. The stock's great there. 14 out of the 15 were great in the bareback riding, wasn't it? I think, or set up wrong.
Yeah, 14. That one, I don't think they got paid for that one horse.
But no, I mean, it's every night. It's a battle for those rough stock riders, and you're getting on 10 nights in a row. So I don't have much of a prediction right now on those, but in the timed events, that's kind of what I think. Vegas Pack, Clay Smith and Corkill and Shad Mayfield. Barrel racing, you never count Haley Kinsel out. I don't care if she's first out, last out. If they let 45 girls run in front of her and put her and sister bottom of the ground of that, you never count them out. So
Emily Miller gets the first check tonight.
That's all. Is she back on her other horse, or
She'll stay on Bow tonight. The
Bushy? Okay.
That
But
horse
no,
is in the rear, but yeah, he'll be all right tonight. She gets her first check. She may not win it, but hopefully
She get
it.
that'll be cool. Well, like I say, Heidi, I want to thank you. I mean, I've been watching these when you started them with with the coaches, and you had CJ on, I think, and Justin Hampton, and this is a great platform for everything, but with college rodeo especially, and getting the coaches on there. This has been awesome. I've enjoyed it a lot. Jim Boy, thanks for putting it together, bud. I mean, I'm glad you had
thanks, Jim Boy.
the NFR hangover party, because this is one of the best shows I got to be on. It's the only one that anybody ever lets me be on. I mean, no matter how much I get on Facebook, I can't convince anybody to let me on for NFR commentary. But no, I've enjoyed it. I enjoy watching it, and it's great that we have this platform. We can get out there and talk about rodeo and impart some of my limited knowledge and all of Jim Boy's vast knowledge of rodeo. And
That's right. It's been fun.
It's been fun. So thank you very much, Heidi, Jim Boy, Todd. I've enjoyed it this morning, even though my Sunday morning I usually sleep until 8, but I was up at 6:30, make sure I was prepped and ready out here on the West Coast.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't take the time.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
You guys too. Thank you.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching live, awesome. We appreciate it. And if you are rewatching, then go ahead and post your comments, your questions below, and we'll get back with you. Listen, we haven't set up the lineup for tomorrow yet, so I'll keep y'all in the loop and let you know. Tune back in. So the Jim Boy Hash was kind of the brainchild of this, and I just created the platform and set up the Zoom. So I want to thank Jim for his time. If you have a request, obviously we're going to do our best to get who we can on here and who we think is going to have some entertaining wrap up, because it's all about entertainment. But also the reason that we called it the NFR Hangover is because oftentimes, well, never are there ever morning shows to wrap up the performance of the night before, which I think we all know why. Because it's usually wild and crazy in Vegas. So at least now we can kind of track some people down because there's no going out right now. So catch us tomorrow morning. We'll be back for round 4 wrap up, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.